Welcome back to the Skeptics Podcast. This will be episode number 7, and my name is Dylan Turley.
My name's John Reeves.
And also, our special guest for today is John Reeves. But today, I figured there was some people that was probably wondering about us, just as who we are, and I thought today we just go ahead and interview John Boy here, and you'll get to know a little bit about him and some things that he's been through and how he got to where he is today.
Yeah.
So, John Boy, let me get your little timer started here. All right.
Good.
The start, the beginning, the conception. Where was it? Just kidding.
I don't know.
I don't know. But, all right. Start where you want to start. How did John Boy become John Boy?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll just give you the actual beginning. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean,
Where'd you grow up?
so I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, but didn't grow up there. I've grown up here in Arkansas. My family, people who I lived with at the time, which I'll tell you in a second, moved down here when I was just born. So, or around that time period, obviously before I could have any memories. So, this is what I know and remember for childhood, growing up here in the state of Arkansas. I can actually remember pretty far back going to like daycare and stuff before having like actual school. And then when I actually started school, I mean, from my whole, like your standardized school, not college, was all at Pembroke High.
Oh, Pembroke High School.
Yeah.
And you started, you said from the beginning?
Yeah.
Kindergarten?
Yep.
So you were definitely not in Indianapolis long at all.
No.
Was that where your parents wanted you to be born at, or was there just like maybe that they were going through there and that was just the place at the time? Like, were they living there?
Yeah, no, they were living up there. That was my mom and my dad. So technically, I've grown up with my stepdad, but I mean, I've grown like literally from the jump.
Right.
Me and that guy. So
Right.
that's my dad.
And you've went to Payburn your whole life.
Yes.
Was there ever a period that you wanted to move somewhere else? Because I definitely went through a stage where I wanted to kind of just go see different things.
Not exactly. I'll say I've always been pretty blessed, me and my family. I mean, there was a stage in my family's history where we were poor, right? Just not doing as good. But really, I can remember growing up and being able to go on trips and go places that my friends weren't going to.
Right.
You know, and we were doing things that other people who I knew weren't able to do. And so, not really. I was going and seeing places with my family pretty early on.
Right.
So I never had this want to like go and like see what else was out there.
Right. They took you to
They
places.
took me.
That's pretty cool. Did how many brothers and sisters you have?
I have two brothers, an older brother and a younger brother.
Right.
So I'm the middle child.
How does it feel to be the middle child?
Yeah, no, it's kind of
Because I only got a younger brother.
I've heard it from a lot of different people, and I've actually done some research recently on some like middle child things that are really common with middle children, and it's super fascinating because it adds up.
Give me one.
One of them is like there's this because you're in the in between. So like the first child, they're kind of like they have to learn, right? And so now the second child, they already know, but then by the third one, it's cake. So you each technically experience different things growing up, even though all parents say it was equal. It was equal. I definitely think there's points that's not equal. I think there's going to be things that everybody remembers differently based on being, either the first, the second, the third, the fourth, however many children you have.
Right.
They're going to have different experiences, partially because, and some people don't consider this, the stage of life that your parent is in. I mean, if they're really young and they have you, and then they get a little older, and then they have your brother, they get a little older, they have another. Now, it's they're already evolved as a parent. So here they're starting out. Here they've got a little bit under the belt. They're experienced. So it's interesting to look at.
At what child do you think they get master level? Like we talking sticks here?
I don't even know. Maybe.
Everyone out there with kids is like you never get to master level.
Yeah.
I've heard it from my parents. I'm sure you heard it to your
Oh,
parents.
yeah.
But it's like me and Cammy talk about it all the time. It's like when we should have kids.
Yeah.
Are you ever ready to have kids? Probably not. Probably not. You're just gonna jump the gun and then just make the best of it.
Right.
But your brothers, are you
Yeah.
are you close to them now?
Yes.
Have you always been close to them?
Mm. I have always sought to be close to them.
Yeah, yeah.
There's been times in life when we haven't been so close.
What's that? What's the age gap?
The age 6 years apiece.
6 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I don't even think I really ever knew that.
on the money.
So you're how old now?
I am 24.
So that would make Noah three. What?
He's about to turn 18.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You got so 18, 20s, and then 30s because your older bro's 30, ain't he? Something. He's got to be.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Or
cool.
he'll be 30 this year.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
right because you're 24, so
Yeah.
6 years. Yeah, that's right.
Because I have the earliest birthday in the year.
Yeah.
So I always turn the oldest first.
Did your brothers? They all went to Pamer too, right?
Correct.
Gotcha. Did your mom didn't go to Pamer?
No.
But your stepdad did, right?
He graduated from Payment. He didn't go there his whole life.
Gotcha.
He actually started out in Little Rock, of all places.
Right on.
Yeah, yeah. They used to live down in the hood.
The hood.
So,
That's
shout out
awesome.
to my grandpa.
That's awesome. How did you like school?
Man, it's actually interesting because I loved the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
I go to see my friends, all that. I never really enjoyed taking tests much. I always felt like there was a lot of constraints that I didn't agree with, as well as just certain, you know, like the academic side. On the more, I don't know what you would call it, the creative side,
Mm-hmm.
dude, it's awesome. We were just talking about an art project that is on my mom and pop's mantle to this day that I did with Miss Yerger back in the day. That's way back.
That's way back in the day.
And,
And mind you, our school is not really that big. I mean,
No.
it's grown literally 2 A's since I think me and you were both in school.
Yeah,
So it's gotten much bigger. Well, how big was your graduating class? You know,
I don't even remember at this point.
mine was right at 69. It really was. I swear.
Nice.
I swear. But
I'm probably in that range.
yeah,
50s
for
to
sure,
60s, but
for sure. But now
Yeah.
being 24, you said. Looking back, I'm always interested in this question.
Yeah.
Looking back at school, what would you say if you could rattle them off 2 or 3 things that was more important for your personal development
Yeah.
than others? Like, and kind of what I'm saying here is, did math have a big impact on you that changed your life, or was there anything else that what had the biggest impact on you?
it wasn't. So a lot of mine was individual based. So like it wasn't math, but I had a math teacher
Mhm.
who I don't know. It helped like revolutionize the way I think at the time.
Right.
Because he was so different. Like now we got away with a lot with this guy. And so that has a lot to do with it because he was willing to hash it out.
Yeah.
Whereas other teachers it's like, hey, do this or else. He was like, all right. He says, if y'all don't want to do X, Y, and Z, you'll fail.
Right.
And these will be the effects of it. And I was like, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now I passed, obviously.
Right.
And I don't recall ever being held back in the grade. So I and I did have struggles in school in different areas, but I would say Mr. Mack, he was just he was so cool, and I actually learned stuff that wasn't even academic. Do you know what a monkey fist is? It's a little sidetrack story.
That's what I give Cammy every night.
So it's actually take a hard object like a pool,
Just kidding.
and you take and you weave it in the rope, and this rope is woven around it like a fist, and it kind of looks the lines in it look like the fingers of a hand. So they call it a monkey's fist. And then you have a long tail, about 3 feet, and it's actually to swing and hit things. I'm not gonna say it's a weapon because you definitely your teacher wouldn't teach you how to do that at school. a big shout out to Mr. Matt because he totally taught me how to make this. Where? I'm gonna leave that disclosed.
Yeah, let you
Yeah,
go ahead and leave that
undisclosed.
disclosed. I find it funny now that, at least in my experience, my view of the best teacher
Mhm.
has changed the older that I've gotten.
Yeah.
Because if you would have asked me when I was younger,
Yeah.
like what most people would have said the best teacher was,
Yeah.
like from like an academic standpoint,
Yeah.
is the teacher that was able to teach you the subject very easily.
Yeah.
I guess you would probably say.
Yeah.
But now it's like I look back and some of my favorite teachers that I've probably took more influence from have been in like courses that I just really didn't find like really interesting.
Yeah.
Like shout out to Miss Free if you ever watch this. She's one of the coolest teachers
She's awesome.
she's awesome.
Awesome.
And I wasn't just a big fan of English.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there, but that just wasn't one of the ones for me. But like her attitude when you would go in that class would kind of dictate on how the class was going to be, even though if you were not good in that subject.
Right.
So that's an interesting perspective now.
That is. She's one of my favorites as well. I can think back to having oral communications with her, and so obviously,
I forgot about that class. I had that class too.
So I'm actually really good at talking and like making speeches.
Yeah, yeah.
It's something that comes super natural. I actually just went to a professional course,
Right.
and the guy gave me really good compliments on the job I did there. So it's interesting looking back, and I pretty much just had so much fun in there.
Yeah.
Because I was already good at the subject.
Yeah.
She just gave me free roam to talk about whatever I wanted. She's like, find what you want to talk about and present.
And that's massive just for the creativity
Oh, yeah.
of it. I mean, I don't think a lot of teachers nowadays, now whether they're being forced to, I don't really know. I don't know. I'm not that well into that field. But it seems like nowadays there's a lot of times to where they're not letting the creativity shine as much. And I mean, obviously it's important to know 2 plus 2.
Right, right.
But I think even if you didn't have a teacher teaching you that, I think down the line you could figure that out.
Yeah. Well,
And that's why you remember teachers so well.
Yeah.
Is not for the things that they've maybe taught you. I mean, it's subconsciously just you kind of picking up things.
Right.
But the way that they acted with you was more important,
Yeah.
at least to me,
Yeah.
than the actual subject.
That's another great example. Miss Butler, out of algebra.
100%.
We had double blocked algebra because we goofed off in Mr.
Yeah,
Matt.
right.
It's a direct correlation, but she was awesome. I remember, I think it was early in the semester. I started sitting on the back of my chair, so I would get in the chair, put my feet in the seat, and sit in the back.
Yeah.
And she didn't care as long as I got my work done.
Yeah.
Well, I worked. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know why I felt the need to do that. I didn't do it in everybody else's class. For one, she would let me, and for two, I got my algebra work done.
Yeah.
And it was right.
Yeah.
And
you're comfortable.
And she worked with me, yeah. And so I don't know. Her allowing me to do that, it was like, okay, as long as he's paying attention, he's learning,
Right.
who cares?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not causing a disturbance in the class.
Yeah.
I already like to sit in the back. And so it's not like I'm in the front of the class in front of everybody, blocking somebody's view. So I'm not hindering somebody else from learning. So what's the problem? That's how I felt about it. And she didn't have a problem.
Yeah.
And so it was super chill.
Right. No, I agree with you. Yeah, Miss Butler's awesome too.
So
Did you go to college?
yes,
What'd you go to college for?
I went to college.
And what kind of college?
So I went to a technical college.
Yep.
Here in the state. I didn't go to any fancy colleges, just not far from Pamburn, in the town of Searcy. I went to ASU. They have a computerized machining program. So I got a degree in computerized machining or computerized machine technology.
How long did that take? Just a year, ain't it?
So technically, I think it was going to take me 2 years, and I think it took me an extra year because I wasn't good at English.
Gotcha.
And so that one really like helped me up.
Right.
I ended up having to take a night class.
That's always lit.
And just that class, it was my night class for like this one semester, and that's what caused it.
Just English?
Yeah.
You went in at night just to learn English?
Yeah, I completed everything else at that point. I had to complete English.
Did you have a good experience at technical college? college because I also went to technical college, and some of my best friends in the world I made
Right.
at technical college.
Yeah, I had a good experience, and a lot of it has to do partially. So there's two things. One, it's not your standard classroom.
Right.
It's most of what you're learning there. Um, I'm actually in a machine shop. You're hands on with tools. You're hands on with parts. You're hands on with machines.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then the secondary part is it's not a traditional college in the sense that everybody who goes there is fresh out of high school. Dude, I'm in there with 40-year-old dudes.
Yes, sir.
I met a guy named Larry, prior service member, super cool.
That's awesome.
And he was making all kinds of cool stuff in there. I met another guy. His name eludes me. He was also prior service guy. I don't know how I ended up meeting all these guys, but he was really cool too. And I really hate that. But then I met a guy named Justin. He was awesome. Uh, he actually reminds me of another guy we know, Connor.
Comrade.
They both deal with some social anxieties.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I'd ever experienced another individual who had actual like crippling social anxiety.
Yeah, yeah.
He actually like got up and left class one day, and I found him outside like 30 minutes later. I'm like, "Hey, dude, you good?"
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like, "No, dude, I'm freaking out." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Because they appear to be normal, except for the fact that he was actually like fidgeting and stuff, and he was a smoker, so he was smoking, trying to calm himself down. But it's interesting the interactions you have with these individuals who are much older than you.
Oh, yeah.
I have no problem with. I made friends with these cats. They're so cool. Now, did they really want to be friends with me? I mean, I was quite a bit younger than a lot of these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
A significant amount. So, that actually leads me to another guy. While I was in college, I was on the collegiate fishing team. They started up a collegiate fishing team while I was there. I don't actually know if it's even still around.
Fish are still around.
The fish, the team, I don't know. But it was based out of BB. And I'll call him a friend of mine. His name's Ron Snyder. He helped put it on, as well as a man named Kendall Casey. They worked at the school. One's now retired. The other, I believe, still works there. Um, one worked at Power Sports, and one was in drafting, which is a part of like my program.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was such an awesome experience. You want to talk about really pushing a guy out of his comfort zone? Go fishing with a grown man, okay, and back his $60,000 truck and $40,000 boat in the water for him, with him sitting in the boat saying, "Hurry up, get that parked."
Yeah. Do it every week.
Don't. that interaction of like, dude, just back that trailer down the ramp and let's go, and then go park my truck.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? You're like, I'm 21 years old and never done that before in my life. I don't even know that's roughly the right age. I would have to look back. It might have been just 20 years old, but it was the level of trust these guys had. This like country boy level trust.
Yeah, yeah.
As well as just like they didn't care.
I was about to say, the trust plays a part, but I think there's another part to it. And you said these guys were older.
Yeah.
And what's hilarious, because Cammy says this is the old part of me.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to New Mexico this year.
Yeah.
And I normally drive my Tacoma because it's got a tent on it and everything. And we're trying to find another vehicle we can take to haul four wheelers, dirt bikes, and stuff like that.
Right.
And we just got a newer diesel 1-ton. And none of us thought about it until last minute. I said, "Heck, I got a 1-ton we could take. It'll haul all that stuff."
Yeah.
And then Cammy was like, "Who are we gonna drive it?" And one of my dearest cousins, his name's Rhett.
Yeah.
He's just graduated high school, believe it or not. I was like, he'll drive it. And then there's a lot of people that I know that's like, you know, let your 18-year-old fresh out of high school cousin drive all the way across the United States to drop the thing off. And I said, yeah. I said, as long as he don't get hurt, drive it.
Right.
That's what I got it for, is to get it, to use it.
But see, that's all. It's I don't know. It's a similar but different at the same time. So similar in the instance of like I feel the like it'll be okay. I understand where you're coming from on that. But think about if it was somebody that you just met.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, not that it's crazy as it sounds. It's almost like that guy knows, like the memory he can create with you is more important than whatever the material thing is that you're doing.
Right.
And I'm by no means rich whatsoever. And it's like, But heck, dude, if I can get to New Mexico and he can drive that truck,
Yeah.
let it happen. I mean, you got faith in God.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll take care of you. So
It's interesting. I've actually one of those guys. Something happened to one of them recently, and it's got me thinking. And so I think right now is a good segue, and then we can jump back to me. But I just want to put it out real quick. So I won't share his name or anything because I don't know. Like I wasn't close with his family. I knew
Yeah,
his individual.
yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna turn this.
okay. But
All right, continue.
okay, so he was in the Marine Corps at one point in his life. I don't know how old he was. He had a significant other. They'd gotten married at some point in the last span of time. I don't know all the details or whatever, but had some kids and stuff. But just recently, he committed suicide.
Dang.
Okay? And it was tough for me to hear, uh, partially because the guy was so influential. He was so nice, and without him, a few of those tournaments that I was able to fish would have never occurred if it wasn't for that guy to be like, dude, you can just fish with me on my boat.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like he would enter a tournament series not even part of the college. It was like he paid to get into it, and he was like, dude, I need a partner. Come with me. And like he drew me out of that comfort zone,
Right.
and like which leads me down even more stories and really impactful moments that happened in my life whenever I was with this cat. Um, but I don't know what all caused it, but I think some of it maybe had to do with his prior service experience. Um, I don't know if some of it maybe had to do with his home life. I don't know what his home life was like. I haven't seen this man in some time. But if anybody's listening and they need help, I don't know how to reach out to us. Maybe we could put an email in the link. But
Yeah, I'll put an email in the link. That's no problem.
I mean, definitely
Shoot it in the comments. I mean,
yeah, yeah. Put something in there, and
Yeah.
and if we see it, reach out to me. I'll figure out a way to get a hold of you. If you need somebody to talk to, please, please talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Because he was such a good person, and I hate to lose a guy like that.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's a tough one, but I mean that's why you gotta. There's a lot of people out there, and I'm anxious to know if when you were growing up,
Yeah.
if you pursued stuff like this, but and I think we've talked about this before. There are so many people, especially our age and a little bit older,
Yeah.
that don't have friends or they don't have best friends. Now, mind you, there is some people that do have the social anxiety thing,
right.
but and I know it's hard, and I'm not one guy that has it, so
Right.
you can say with that whatever you want to say. But you know how you overcome that? You do more of it.
Yeah.
So if because those are the one things. It's just like a guy that I was talking to today, our old friend Larry Patterson.
Yeah.
I was talking to him today, getting some marriage advice for him because he's a very wise guy
Right.
that I know, and he's been married for years.
Yeah.
That's so awesome that I have him as a friend to ask those questions to.
Yeah.
And he flat out told me at the very end of it, and this is a smart guy, he said, man, I don't have all the answers.
Right.
And I don't have all the answers, you don't have all the answers. There's one man that has all the answers, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to hear what the answer is. But the point is, you having friends and or family members,
Yeah.
do that too, uh, is so important. So when you were growing up,
Yeah.
were you someone that seeked out friendships, or do you feel like they were one of those things that just kind of came your way?
I think it's just stuff that happened. Like some of the guys who I know today, it just happens to you. The friendship just occurs naturally. I don't know if I ever like went and looked for these individuals, and which makes it even more interesting because each one of these friends I've had along the way has been so impactful. Some of them were good, some of them were bad.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, some of these guys were terrible people in my life.
Yeah.
And caused me to probably be some of the negative things that I am today. Some of the stuff that makes me not as good a person.
Right.
You know, like I'm pretty quick to judge, and it's easier to be the aggressor and be wrong
Mm-hmm.
than it is to be like passive and be wrong.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's for sure. Because that question always makes me wonder. Because there was a period in my life to where I thought I had to be friends with everybody,
right.
and now that I'm older, you don't want technically to be friends with
No.
everybody.
See, I was just naturally friends with all these people.
Yeah,
And
same.
some of them, if I
I
would have known that it would have been bad for me,
yeah.
I would have been wise to end it.
The cool thing about this though is, and this could go in all kind of many different directions for many different people.
Yeah.
Is at least talking about the college aspect.
Yeah.
I think whether or not you chose to be this guy's friend for this aspect,
Yeah.
but one thing I guarantee helps, and helps with everything, is you were all in one place and you knew you had one thing in common, and that was in your case was fishing,
Right.
or in that case in your other thing it was machining,
Right.
or there's easily an icebreaker there
Right.
that you could talk about with, I mean, pretty much anybody.
Right.
It'd be really weird if you were in this class and you were like, "Hey man, you big into fishing?" "No, I do croquet." And you're like, "You ever touched a fishing pole?" "Nah, man."
Yeah. You know,
You never know.
you don't.
But I mean, now you know,
Right.
because now you can make the decision if you want to be this guy's friend or not.
Right.
I can't. I'm so bad at forgetting quotes, but I have so many of them shoved up in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was one of them that was a quote that was around the subject of friends, and even relationships in any way, if you wanted to put it. But somebody was complaining, or somebody said, "Why would you complain about losing a friend when you know that's not a good friend?" So if you're so focused on gaining friends,
Yeah.
and it's like you see this one guy, and you're like, he's definitely doing some things that you. I mean, he's definitely on the side hitting the lines,
Right.
and you're like, I don't know about
Right.
this. Now, as Christians, we try to be disciples of God and try to get him closer to God. So,
Right.
of course, I would say still try to do that.
Right.
Walk with a light step,
Yeah.
for sure. But if it, you now know.
Right.
It's like if you were dating a chick, and she breaks up with you and just tells you that she doesn't want to be with you anymore.
Right.
Obviously, that's hard.
Yeah.
And because you're so used to the connection and you don't want to be without connection.
Right.
But in reality, you're like, well, God's showing me that that's not the one for me.
Right.
So I mean, go on to the next one. Now, there's obviously, it's way harder than
Right.
what I'm making it sound like.
Right.
But I don't think enough people think about that. It's
No.
it's just like failing in the same way too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the more you fail, the more you learn things not to do.
Right.
So I've always liked to ask that question. I went on a big rant just for that one question.
Yeah. No. And just touching on it a little bit more, it's funny. Everybody tells you you're going to lose all these friends after school, and I've met all different kinds of people who this and who that, but some of them I didn't want to lose, but I felt like naturally
Yeah.
they have left, not so much me.
Right.
And it almost like I almost felt like it was happening for a long period of time, but because these were the only people who I had to hang out with, it felt like at the time.
Yeah.
It's like you, you're always going and doing things. You may even be doing something that's not healthy for you. I'm
Yeah.
not saying drugs. For some people, it is.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't. But I mean, that is some people. And if you can catch it early on, you're going to be so much better off. But if you're truly lucky, you'll have a couple of friends who you can really talk to about anything. It's something I was sharing with one of my brothers yesterday, not yesterday, but a couple days ago now. Uh, and some people say, well, I don't need anybody to talk to, you know. And yeah, I disagree. I think you do. I think you
Yeah.
need to have at least one. I
Yeah.
think you need to have two. And sometimes you need to have, I think you need to have at least two. And if one of them's a family member, cool.
Yep.
That sometimes is even harder because now if you're talking about things within your family, they're obviously going to have a
Oh
certain
yeah.
opinion. So if you have somebody who's outside of the family, a good close friend like you are mine,
Hmm.
it it's easy because I can come to you with anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry. There's no fear of being persecuted.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go with you get done with college.
Yep.
What'd you do after that?
Okay, so I actually started working while I was in college. I got a part-time job working with the same place this guy works. Um, it was just going to be a part-time job starting out. I was talking with my folks. I had saved money. Uh, they had helped me. They had saved some money to help me go to college as well as I had some scholarships. Uh, and so some of that was starting to look a little scarce. It wasn't as stacked like it was at one time. And so it was like, yeah, probably need to get a job. Get a part-time job, delivering parts and stuff. Well, getting closer to being done with school, and I got offered a full-time job. I said, you know what? Nothing else really sounds good right now. I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then time passes. I'm excelling where I am, and so they say, hey, how about another move? Would you like to move up in the company again? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And so just give you more context. So I was working in the warehouse, delivering parts, doing regular warehouse stuff, stocking parts, checking items in, checking items out. And I was offered to move into customer service. I have no idea about that. Zero. Not from school, not from college, not from life, nothing. So I'm jumping in just like a fish out of water. I jump in there doing the best I could do. And luckily, one of my superiors noticed it the same time I was noticing it. That this ain't going to work. This is not a long term position for me. Uh, Sitting in an office, locked in, on a computer, on the phone, all the time, not for me. If it's for you, fantastic. We need you out there, okay? Because there's guys like me who can't do it. Um, so then another position was offered to become the assistant to the warehouse manager. I said, yes, I've got to get back on my feet. I've got to be up away from my desk um, because it's killing me. Sitting still all day, can't do it. Uh, it don't feel right. And I always thought I would end up in a blue collar job, and so that aligns perfectly.
That's
with
what I
blue
was about to
collar
ask you. Is where you're at now? Not that is it where you want to be, because nobody normally says yes to that.
right?
More so though, does it have any kind of correlation with something that you wanted to do when you were older?
Not really.
Because we sell cutting tools. That's the company that we're in.
Yeah.
Now you went to school for machining.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, some of my knowledge from school.
what made you go into school for machining? Was it just kind of off the cuff that you thought this would be cool?
Yeah. It was just like I was talking with my family. It's like, hey, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. And they're like, there's a big push in my family, and really, I don't know, it's tough because it's good, but it also has its drawbacks, which I know. I mean, everything has that, but
Right.
the ideology behind it is if you get a hard skill, right, like that, like being a machinist,
Yep.
okay, or being an electrician, or whatever. Now, electrician's a little bit different; it's more work, but if you can get something that you can fall back on, is the whole ideology. This ideology of like, if something doesn't work out, you can always fall back on this. So technically, yeah, with the degree I have currently, I could walk in a machine shop that's needing a guy, and I would be bumped up higher because I have some level of experience.
Right. Right.
Um, Now, obviously, it's not. I'm not going to say I'm even where close to being somebody who's knowledgeable,
Right.
but I definitely have more knowledge than the green hand, somebody who doesn't know anything.
Right.
So I'm not starting at zero, but I'm not a skilled laborer. Um, I've not honed my craft for 5 years and really kind of know what I'm doing. And five, you could argue that's not even enough time. So the idea, though, is let's say I go out and I say, I want to work at a bank.
Mm-hmm.
I work at a bank for 2 years and say, this sucks. Okay. And then I say, well, I want to work for the Game and Fish. No jobs available. Okay. Well, you have to get a job. You don't want to work at the bank. Can't get this job. Well, I can go work in a factory because it pays pretty good money
Right.
and it's available.
Did growing up,
Yeah.
you already kind of said you really didn't know what you wanted to do.
Right.
Was there any passion that you had that you kind of wanted to happen?
Yeah. It's actually funny you mention it because I didn't even realize this until recently. The mentality and the thought behind warriors throughout history I've been fascinated by. And the idea of being, brave and being somebody that other people look up to uh, has always been at the forefront of my mind. And recently I looked at some old books I had, and they're about warriors throughout history. Samurais, knights, ninjas, just literally all kinds, like throughout the ages, up to the modern warrior. And I don't know why I never made the link in my mind until I was grown. But yeah, as a young kid, I wanted to be a warrior. What that is today, that's joining the military of whatever country you live in. You want to be a warrior in that, aspect. Uh, because the values, I care about the values they care about. Like I said, honor and trust and doing right by others, standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. I've always felt like that's the right thing. The golden rule: do unto others as you want them to do unto you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that goes along with all of these things. And just recently, I was looking back at things as a kid, playing these types of games, playing with these types of toys, and buying and reading these types of books. I don't know why it took me so long to make the realization that could have been a path that I should have really looked into more seriously.
So, are you saying that like you know for a fact it's not your path now?
I've almost ruled it out 100% based on a multitude of factors. Currently, with my current position and my current job, I'm excelling at an exponential rate. Um, Along with that, my work provides particular trainings and events that I love, and they're worth the same amount to me as the check that would be cut otherwise. So imagine instead of going to a training, they just cut you a check for cold hard cash. For most people, they want the money. For me, I want the skills, and I want to go to these events, and I like being sent off places.
Oh yeah, me too.
So for me,
Prison.
I've been to prison once.
I haven't.
It was a field trip. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie. Don't think I actually went there because I did a crime. It was a field
I've
trip.
dropped the soap before.
Sus.
Sus. Actually, it
On
was
purpose?
suds.
Oh, good one. That
Coming out
time.
like super hot fire.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. So your brother also has military experience,
Yes.
and you, along with me and a couple of other buddies,
Mm-hmm.
we train quite often with firearms.
Yes.
Was firearms always something that you were attuned to? I'm not necessarily saying like obsessed with to the point now, but it was like when you were younger. Did did you go outside? Did you hunt a bunch? Did you do? Because there's a bunch of things you're into now that I'm anxious to know if you were like into before.
No.
Like, did you like to track coons at 2 a.m.?
So tracking, I think I always have had some sense of wanting to know where other things are going, see where they're living.
I've done that
Char-
to multiple people. Just kidding.
Partially just because my love of wildlife. My family all thought I was going to work for Arkansas Game and Fish because of my love for
I could definitely see that.
uh, at one point I was like dead set on that as a career path. I went and I even listened to some game and fish officers because that was the side I really wanted to know about and uphold more. I didn't care so much about the conservation side on like the biology, what they're tracking, but the guys who are busting guys doing illegal stuff because you care about the wildlife and because you care about what my grandkids are going to have.
Yeah, yeah.
Being able to protect that. You have to be a wildlife officer to protect those. So,
Need to go talk to my wife because she cuts down a lot of trees,
well, that's
and she don't replant them.
well, it all depends. We have pretty healthy populations of certain things in the state, so I think it'd be okay. But no, I did find animals fascinating, and I love them, and I still love to go out in the woods and find like a like the shell of a turtle that was left behind. Don't know why. Did it die from natural causes? Did something eat it? I have no idea. But fascinated by that. Finding deer antlers that they've shed.
Yeah.
Uh, I found my best one so far this year. It's beautiful. It was like a 3 or 4 point one side, and it's magnificent. So I've always had a fascination with that. Always had a fascination with being outside. I've always had a fascination with different types of weapons. Okay, so not really firearms per se, but like swords. Don't ask me why. I love swords. I think they're fantastic. There's something about them that's so unique, and that man decided that that's the tool he's going to use. Uh, like I don't know, it's very fascinating. But also things like I tried to get my mom and dad to get me a grappling hook forever, and they wouldn't do it based on the fact they're worried I was gonna injure myself.
You talking about one that like shoots out of a gun?
No, 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 the one you throw like a ninja.
I have one.
I know. I
Oh.
met this guy
Yeah, yeah.
at 19 years old. He shows me his grappling hook, and we're like, we're gonna be best friends.
That's it, dude. I show my grappling hook to everybody.
And so things like that, like more odd stuff.
Right.
Like it wasn't just swords and this and that, but like a grappling hook or like I think it's called shunto, but it's these hooks that go on your hands and feet that like ninjas would climb trees and walls with. This is the ignorant stuff that I'm
That's
learning
pretty
about
cool.
as a kid.
Yeah.
That I think probably shaped some of that mentality. But hunting, I wasn't big into hunting at the time. This year is my biggest year to ever try and get into hunting. I hunted this turkey season. Never hunted turkeys before. Almost got one. Ooh, I was so close. First day out. Didn't see one the rest of the season. Opening day, seen 3 turkeys. Did get a shot on one. But
Let's work on that.
I'm super drawn in by turkey hunting for now. For some reason, I couldn't tell you. Everybody has the thing that lures them in with hunting, it sounds like. For me, it's turkey hunting. There's something about it that there's an unnatural desire to hunt the turkey. Don't know. But
Is it like that for women?
No, not so much. Not the same.
You ain't going after them with firearms.
No, yeah.
No, that's definitely a turn off.
Yeah, I'm not laying in wait.
That's right. That's right.
I'm laying in wait for some turkey.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so let's kind of talk about an overview of kind of your mindset to from when you were younger to the kind of now.
Yeah.
So now,
Yeah.
you're the manager of a warehouse.
Yeah.
And you got 4 employees under you, 3 employees, somewhere around there.
4 technically.
Something like that. How do you keep a good mindset doing such a big position? And when your mindset breaks down, how do you come back to that?
So I think I've experienced my lowest of lows while in my current position. Also with my current just state of life, kind of figuring things out. What I think I need to be doing right now, or what I think I need to do next. Uh, but the highs are good too. But when you do get down, man, it's really about you've got to disconnect. You've got to be able to leave that work at work. And you've got to be able to leave that conversation that was just under your skin. You just got to leave that alone, period.
Yeah.
Don't just leave it at work. You got to let that go.
Yep.
And learning to let go of a lot of stuff has really helped me. Because it doesn't matter.
Right.
Figure out how you can accomplish the task at hand that needs to be done and work around everything else. Because dwelling on it, which I am notorious for, I'm so bad and I'm getting better at it, about letting things go. Don't quit thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's in the past now. You're in the present. Okay?
Now you're in the past. But then now the present.
Right.
It's very quickly.
The present, it's a gift.
Yeah. Now that was in the past, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you just gotta let that be.
Right.
Okay? It's dead.
Yeah. For
Okay?
sure.
What's happened. Whatever you've said, done, seen, heard, dealt with, whatever. And the same thing for somebody else, an experience dealing with somebody else.
Yes.
That's done.
Yes.
Move on.
Yep.
Okay. So if they did something today, you show up to work tomorrow, it's irrelevant now.
Yeah. Forgiveness is a gift.
Because you need to be able to push forward, not only as a team, but for yourself personally.
Yeah.
Holding on to these feelings against somebody else or against a moment or an idea, you know, quit that.
Yep.
And so I'm still not great at it, but I'm working towards it every day,
Right.
and I'm doing better. I mean, and there's always going to be things that aggravate you in life. There's always going to be things that upset you in life. But how to overcome that? And for me, recently, it's learning what are the things that I need to do as an individual. Uh, Something that I've actually found that I enjoy doing, and I do it every once in a while because I do think I'm conservative with how much time I'm around an individual. Because I've seen the what happens when you're around somebody too much. You start to have more conflict.
Use all kind of different slangs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try.
But like sometimes I stick around and I go and I help this guy feed animals at their farm, and it's peaceful for me. I love being around this. My buddy Dylan here, I love being around this guy.
I'm just a unique loser.
The past few years, I've grown so much by knowing and hanging out with Dylan here. It's insane.
Oh, I appreciate that. Same goes.
My personal growth since meeting you has been, I don't know, a million times what it was prior with any of my other past friends. And so that's been a huge influence. But just coming and hanging out and just talking about nonsense,
Dude, it's the best thing.
and just feeding some horses.
Yeah, some ponies.
It disconnects my brain from all the work I've got to do when I get back to work tomorrow, and all the work I got to do when I get home tonight. It's something that helps.
And see, I take that away from you because there's multiple times that I am super blessed for what I have.
Yeah.
And it's awesome for everything.
Yeah.
My wife, the horses, the house, I mean, everything's it's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you constantly do something, and there's some days you just have a bad day.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But every time you come out and you help, I can look at you and say, look at the way he's experiencing this. There's no reason that I should be over here pouting for having to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it is very. That's why I just love just being with like-minded people.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter what your situation is. And even talking about BS stuff like you're talking about, you just talk about whatever
nonsense,
and you'll have a good time. There's so many times me and this dude hang out, and we don't have plans for nothing.
No.
And it just happens.
Yeah.
We're going camping. John goes, "Where are we going?" I said, "We're going to go somewhere that direction."
Yeah.
And we end up having great trips about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, it's incredible to not just be your friend, just to have a group of friends, and it goes back to that so many times as you should try to find some group of friends. So nowadays,
yeah,
what is one of the keys to having a good team?
Like at work?
Like anything. I'm asking you just because you've done it at work.
I would say, well, it's universal actually. If you want a good team, it's universal. The skills are universal.
Yeah.
Because the books I read and the stuff I listen to on this, and everybody has their own take, but I think you need to listen and remind yourself of these things. And so it doesn't matter how many times you've heard it. Listen to a book that's about the same stuff from a different person.
Yeah.
Because it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
But one of the key things might be the biggest thing that I've dealt with. One is communication. If you aren't communicating with these individuals, and there's certain people who want over communication.
Yeah.
And I disagree with that. So there is levels to it. So if you're the leader, you have to decide how much communication is necessary. What do I need to tell you that's important, and what have I heard that's not worth your time?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's certain things that I'm told it's not even worth me telling you.
Right.
But there's other things that's worth everybody needing to know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's one individual needs to know this because it's an area that they need to work on. But communication's a big part. If I've got a problem with you, we don't talk about it.
Oh shoot!
It just builds and builds
Just
and builds,
builds up.
and then all of a sudden, I'm gonna lose it on you, and I don't even remember why I'm angry. I'm angry at you, and I can't even remember why. Because a year ago, me and you argued about something, and I never talked
Right.
about it.
Right.
We argued, and I ran off mad. Well, now guess what? It's built into something else.
Yeah, it sucks. Now you both hate each other, and the remorse is there. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, and so communication about all kind of stuff. And I'm trying to think, what's another big factor that I deal with? Being open-minded,
Yeah,
up
it's
the chain of
huge.
command and down
Huge.
the chain of command.
Huge.
So
Goes back to the teacher thing, like I said.
if
Like,
if your people have something they can teach you, dude, learn
never stop wanting to learn.
100%. Because if you start thinking, dude, I'm 24 years old, I got here
Yeah.
at this age, these guys can't tell me nothing. You're gonna fail quickly.
Yeah.
You're gonna get phased out pretty soon. It may take 5 years, may take 10 years, but you're not gonna be there 35 years
Right.
as a leader. Okay, you're gonna be phased out if you're not willing to hear from the people above you and the people below you. Because guess what? The people below you, they're the ones whose morale and happiness is gonna dictate your day to day. Because that's the people you deal with day to day. Your boss, you obviously have to learn from them and adapt because they're the ones calling the shots
Right.
for you. But the people below you, you can make their life so much easier and make change for them happen. But you also have to be willing to hear them, you know. And it's something I think we do pretty good where we
No,
work.
no, I would definitely say that's something you do that's very, very good.
It's like my first day being a leader,
Yeah.
I made change occur
Yeah.
because one of the guys told me, he said, hey, he said, if there's anything you can, I said, is there anything I could do for you day one? He said, this is a problem I have day one. If you could fix it, that would actually be beneficial. And I got it to change day one.
There you go.
So it's as simple as asking them. And if my boss says no, big deal. All I did was ask a question.
Right.
Hey, what about this?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
That's it.
And then I go back and I tell them, hey, it didn't work out.
Yep.
What else can I do for you? That's it right there. That's another one. Being a servant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's coming from somebody that's in a leader role.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. You have to serve, and some people are going to argue with that, but you have to serve your people just as much as you serve the people above you.
That's it.
Because if you're not working for your guys, you're working against them.
Yep.
I mean, if all you're thinking about is how you can make more profit and how you can make the company X, Y, and Z,
Right.
and how you can make your boss love you more, and not how can I make my guy's life better,
Yeah.
I don't really think you're going to make a big impact in life.
Well, obviously I already know the answer to this question, but growing up,
Yeah.
through your steps of life,
Yeah.
where has, or if it has,
Mhm.
like I said, I know this already. Where has your spiritual journey started? Has it always been something since you were little, or did it start at a certain time and then get really really good, or did you get on the bandwagon, kind of struggle it around, and then get back on it?
I started off pretty young. I couldn't put like a direct number on the age.
Yeah, yeah,
I can remember going as a little kid,
yeah,
uh, going to church or talking about the Bible with my family and God and things like this, and Christianity. Um, but really, in the past few years, I've really started to think about it more. And in the past 2 years, I've really started to take steps in my own life on where I think I need to be on my spiritual journey in
right,
life. Growing up, we didn't really go to church a whole lot. Living in the Bible Belt down here in the South where we live, that's really hard for other people.
yeah,
And I think that's shaped some of my thoughts and ideas about going to church and about other people who go to certain churches and this and that, uh, which is a whole other story. But we just didn't go to many churches. There's a gentleman by the name of Pastor Arnold Murray and Pastor Dennis Murray. You can look them up. I think they're fantastic. They are non-denominational. They preach the Word of God from the King James Bible in the store.
Yeah.
Okay. It's none of this, you have to do these steps or you have to. That's what it is. Okay. They say, this is what God wants you to know. It's in this book. Learn it. Pretty simple stuff. And I think that was a big influential part, which comes from my mom's side. My grandpa on my mom's side. That's who he liked.
Yeah, yeah.
And it actually makes sense because they were pretty poor, and so I could see them, maybe not having the time and money to go to church because he was working all the time, and so it's easier for them to listen to a preacher over the radio or on the television set uh, than it would be to go. If he's working 90% of the time, then you're going to have to squeeze that in by listening to it on the radio,
Right.
taking your kids to school or whatever it was, and so a lot of that come from my mom. But I can remember growing up, it felt like we learned as a family together. And just in the past few years, it's been so impactful with my brothers and my mom and dad, and then myself. I feel like it's funny. I feel like I've started to lead the charge on certain things within a family sense. Since I've had the leadership in a business aspect, I've learned how to use it in a personal aspect. And I think it's so influential because if you want somebody to do more things, then first off, you have to lead by example.
Mm.
And so if you do that in your home life and in your family life, I think it's going to be influential. And so it really, the honest truth is it hasn't been but the past couple of years that I've really delved deep into how I feel, my stance on it, and really absorbing the knowledge and learning at an accelerated rate. I've never wanted to learn more than I do right now about it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I was thinking about it just earlier, the fine line between
Right.
about pushing too hard with individuals
Yep.
and spreading the word.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're supposed to spread the word, which we say you are,
Yep.
me and this guy,
Yep.
At a certain point, there's certain people who aren't going to hear you.
Yeah.
So, as well as you don't want to push somebody away, maybe you need to just plant some seeds
Yep.
and then let it grow from there.
Yep.
So you have to find that with everybody, and everybody's different.
Everybody's different, that's for sure.
So that's where I'm at currently with that. I didn't start out strong as a little kid. I believed, partially based on my grandma. I can give you just a quick brief backstory. I lost my biological father at a young age. My grandma told me as she got older, she said, "It's okay. You don't have to worry about me. I know where I'm going."
That's awesome.
And as a kid, you're like, "What?"
Huh?
But once once we discussed that more in detail, and she told me uh, throughout the years to come, I found a sense of comfort. And so that really makes it more rock solid when you have somebody who their faith isn't wavering. When they say,
Right. Yeah.
I know he's real. I know these things occurred, and I know based on my life experience where I'm going."
Yeah. Our pastor of the church always says, he goes, nothing's got faith more than a grandma. If you got a grandma that prays for you, you're gonna have good.
Yeah.
And everybody needs a grandma to pray for them. So grandmas out there, I'm not sure there's many watching this, but if there is,
If you have a grandma,
if
shout
you
out
have
to
it,
them.
yeah, shout out to that grandma.
Yeah.
But the last question I kind of want to ask,
Yeah.
is since you're 24,
Yep.
you're in a leadership role,
Yep.
you're making good money,
Yeah.
for somebody your age.
Yeah.
What would you say to another you that was coming out of college not knowing what they're going to do?
Not knowing what you're gonna do.
Because you didn't know what you were going to do either. Now, granted, you already had a job in line.
Yeah, but be the best at it. Whatever you're gonna do, want to be the best, and then try your hardest, because minding your hardest is gonna be different.
100%.
at being the best at that job. That is going to be so impactful. And try to be the best friend you can be.
Yep.
And the best brother, sister, husband, father, mother, whatever you
Kid.
kid.
Yeah.
Be a better son.
Yeah.
That's something that I think. But that's if you're coming out of college and you want to succeed at an exponential rate.
Yep.
You have to strive to be the best.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't even know. Like I wasn't even at first. I wasn't trying to be the best at my job, but then there was key events that occurred, and I'm like, if I want that person to do better, I need to work so hard that it makes them look bad.
Yeah.
And that sounds negative. It really does.
Right.
But you know what it did? It forced that guy to work harder.
To work harder.
Because he looks bad now. And so, guess what? Whether he liked it or not, he was going to elevate with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to work so hard, it's going to make you look bad.
Yeah.
And so that come out of me looking bad. We all look bad at one point, and I was like, all right, fine. Me and this guy look good, but this guy's bringing us down.
Yeah.
How do I make him work harder? I'm going to make him look bad by outworking him 10 to 1.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it opened my eyes to, if I do that to everybody, if I try to outwork my boss 10 to 1, I could have his job.
Yeah. I agree.
Did I seek that out? No. So don't ever go looking for it. Don't think that you're going to become the boss by doing this.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. I just thought if I can outwork those around me, I could become better. Maybe not even here. Maybe it's somewhere else, but I could be better.
Yeah.
But you have that ability. Because if you're the best dishwasher, then guess what?
You're gonna make a living.
You're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're gonna.
Yeah.
They're gonna see that.
I agree.
So, you need to try to be the best.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%, buddy.
Because don't worry, there's plenty of them out there that's not gonna be.
Yep. That's true. Well, John boy.
Yep.
Good job, brother.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I wish there's so much more I could have said.
Hey, there's always time to be.
If anybody wants to know more, maybe we'll get episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2. Ask him a question in the comments. Be 50 cents, but I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, that is the end.
That's the wrap.
Thanks, John boy, for kind of giving us a little bit of your story. This is episode 7 of the Skeptics Podcast.
Yep.
And y'all have a great day. Go tell someone about the Lord.
Yep.
Have a blessed rest of your day, and Shalom Shalom.
Shalom.